Now, in today's video, I'm going to talk about a topic that may be uncomfortable for some people. Imagine it has become public knowledge that the affair you had with someone else is now public knowledge. Now, imagine you are before 3 elderly men and you are a woman, and these men are questioning the intricacies of that affair. In the first place, you are embarrassed by what you did. You are ashamed of yourself. You are guilty because you cheated on your spouse. And as if that is not enough, here are men, probably much older than you, or maybe the age of your father, questioning you about the most intimate, the most secret aspect of your life, and that is your sexuality. They even go to the extent of wanting to know if you had experienced an orgasm when you had that affair. Now, that sounds like fiction to many of you, but this is a reality of many Jehovah's Witnesses who commit adultery.
Were you touching each other's genitals? Were you stroking each other? How much were you doing it? How long were you doing it? Did you orgasm?
Was it one time that you had sex with this person? Was it multiple times? Are you still in contact with them? They also asked if we used birth control. They also asked if I had an orgasm, interestingly enough, because apparently that indicates if I really wanted to do it or not. I'm not sure. Overall, it was very invasive.
I have listened to many videos of ex-JWs, and particularly one that comes to mind is the one where one woman said, because many women feel trapped in the marriage to Jehovah's Witnesses brothers, the only way out is adultery.
The only scriptural reason for divorce would be adultery, cheating on your spouse, your partner. And if you talk to other sisters, they all have very similar stories. At the time, I thought that was the only way to get out of my marriage because I was frantically desperate trying to get out. So that's what I ended up doing. And the majority of ex-JW women that I've talked to have done the same thing.
It is a very common way out, but that comes at a price. And she's not the only one that says that. Many others have testified that they had to commit adultery as a way out of their marriage. The question that we are going to answer today is, why? Now, you have to know that Jehovah's Witnesses take the sin of adultery, fornication, and even what they call unclean conduct very, very seriously. Now, if you have found that you have been involved in that, the first encounter you will have is that you appear before the judicial committee. Now, the judicial committee is a committee of congregation elders who are not just there to find out what you did, but they want to interrogate you to determine whether or not you are repentant enough to be allowed to remain in the congregation. If not, you might be disfellowshipped. And this is where the interrogation comes in. JW elders concerned about the most intimate, the most secret aspect of your life, and that is your sexuality. Now, we'll look at the official reasons, and then, before the end of the video, I will explain to you the real reason why JW elders are interested in understanding the most secret aspect of your life, and that is your sexuality. First, let's review what actually happens, and that is we are looking at the judicial committee.
And how many elders are there?
So the process is that initially there will be 2 elders to investigate whether or not a judicial committee needs to be formed. And then the actual judicial committee is 3 brothers.
Now, why are they interested in such explicit details of your sexual conduct? including how many times you met, where you met, and of course, the elephant in the room. So for Jehovah's Witnesses, it's not just about the act. It's about your mind. It's about your heart. It's about your conduct. And it's also about the pleasure and even the depth of your involvement in this affair. The official reason they want to know all these details is to determine whether you were fully involved and determine whether you are repentant enough.
They also asked if I had an orgasm, interestingly enough, because apparently that indicates if I really wanted to do it or not. I'm not sure. Overall, it was very invasive.
The reason why they want to know is to determine whether you willingly and fully gave yourself into the sin or you struggled to enter into sin. So in other words, were you really tempted? Did the temptation take place or you willfully sinned? And that's why, according to the official version, that is the reason why they go into such details. Let's look at the implication of how this involves the controlling of minds, body, and desires. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses believe in what they call moral discipline. And that discipline isn't just about your actions. It extends to your thoughts, desires, body, and mind. They believe that to be spiritually pure, you must control your mind, you must control your desires, including your body response, especially sexual urges. And that is where the questions actually come in. By asking about the most intimate, the most secret aspect of your life, and that is your sexuality. Let's listen to this clip.
What kind of questions did they ask you at the judicial meeting?
Were you touching each other's genitals? Were you like stroking each other? How much were you doing it? How long were you doing it? How many times did you do it? On what days were you doing it? What times? And what setting was that happening? Did you orgasm? Like all these super explicit details. It's like they wanted a play-by-play, right, of everything that you did.
In my case, they asked me, was it one time that you had sex with this person? Was it multiple times? Are you still in contact with them? They also asked if we used birth control. They also asked if I had an orgasm, interestingly enough, because apparently that indicates if I really wanted to do it or not. I'm not sure. Overall, it was very invasive.
They are not just probing for details. They are probing for control over your physical response. Did you enjoy it? Did you give in completely to the pleasure of the act? Now, these questions are very important to the congregational elders because they want to know whether your sexual desires controlled you or whether you were in control of your sexual desires. In other words, did you fall into sin willingly or you were tempted and you gave in to the temptation? For ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, this is one of the most intrusive forms of control. It's not just about that members follow biblical rules. It's about dominating their most intimate experiences. Let's listen to this clip.
At the time, I just gave him all this info, right? I was just like, oh yeah, okay, that was this, and this. And I look back now and it's like, this is none of your business, right? Like this is so invasive. This is crossing so many boundaries.
And when an organization wants to control something as private as your sexual pleasure, what don't they want to control over every aspect of your life?
I think it does come down to control, though, because overall they are quite controlling in people's lives. And sexuality is a form of personal expression. And they try to hinder that as much as possible, even in private matters like that, like sex.
It's important to understand that these questions that are asked about your most intimate part of your life is not just about understanding what you went through, whether you enjoyed the sexual encounter or not. It is about controlling every aspect of your life. And this control is extended to many aspects of your life. Members are taught by the governing body that it's very important for them to follow what the governing body tells them, because the governing body represents God. They speak the truth for God. And whatever they tell their members is an ultimate truth.
It is true that Satan, the demons, and this world are against you. Jehovah loves you very much. The governing body loves you very much.
They also want to control who you associate with. Relationships with non-Jehovah's Witnesses are seriously discouraged because of what they call worldly influence. In other words, they claim that if you associate with other people, they will negatively influence you. The control also extends to what you read, what you watch, and what you listen to, such as movies, books, and music that don't align with moral conduct.
Careful on the internet. We were talking about that this weekend with friends. Oh, my word, how many times did I tell you, be careful? You know, going here, going there, they'll suck you in. See, with some of this stuff, it can seem so innocent. We're just warning you that all we can do is admonish. Stick with what we have authorized. You'll be safe. You want to go out there, it's at your spiritual risk.
Another aspect that they control is the type of medical treatment you accept. Even in life-threatening situations that require blood transfusion, the Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to avoid blood transfusion because as far as they are concerned, they are following a biblical guidance from Acts 15 that says, abstain from blood. Now, add to that list how you think and what you feel, even in your most intimate moments, and you start to see a pattern. It's about control over every part of the member's life, not just what they do publicly, but what happens inside their own minds and bodies. This is where the line between spiritual guidance and outright control get crossed. In addition to all this that I've mentioned, add to that list what you think and what you feel, even in your most intimate moments. I'm sure now you'll begin to see the pattern. It's about comprehensive control of members' lives. It's not just about what you do publicly. It's about what happens inside your mind and bodies. And this is where the line between spiritual guidance and outright control gets crossed. Now let's listen to some testimonies of members who have spoken about how controlling the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania can be or is.
When you really understand to the level that Jehovah's Witnesses are micromanaged in every aspect of their life and how controlled they are, even though they'll say that they're not and they have all their personal freedoms, you don't. Like, you are so controlled and so micromanaged. It literally is like, you know, they talk so much about, oh, the new system coming in paradise. Like, it's actually here, right? You're just trapped in purgatory right now. You're trapped in hell. Get out of there and you can actually have, you know, some joy and happiness, right? And get that out of your life before it's too late. The saddest part is all these people are putting off having a happy life for some future paradise to come.
I think it does come down to control, though, because overall they are quite controlling in people's lives, and sexuality is a form of personal expression, and they try to hinder that as much as possible, even in private matters like that, like sex.
For those who have left the organization, like many ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, these practices are viewed as a form of manipulation and domination. The question about sex and especially aren't just about ensuring moral purity. They are aware of the organization to enforce control at the deepest, most intimate level. Imagine being asked those kind of questions about your private life. How would you feel to know that even your bodily responses were being scrutinized by religious authorities? For many who have left, this kind of invasive questioning is nothing short of psychological abuse. It creates a climate of fear, guilt, and shame that makes members feel powerless. Exactly the environment that allows high control groups to thrive. They also speak of how traumatizing this judicial process is. It would have been better if the judicial process concerning women were done by women elders or senior women leaders. Unfortunately, there is no such a thing. in the Jehovah's Witnesses sect. The shame and guilt they carry long after these judicial interrogations can be crippling. Some struggle with anxiety, depression, even post-traumatic stress due to the intensive nature of these interrogations. For many, leaving the organization is the first step towards reclaiming their personal autonomy. It's not just about rejecting the teachings or doctrines, but about regaining control over their own lives, their bodies, their thoughts, and their intimate experiences. Breaking free from this kind of control allows ex-members to rebuild their sense of self-worth and reclaiming their freedom. Some of the ex-JWs who have commented on some of the videos that I've published have actually said that, particularly this one viewer who said, the Jehovah's Witnesses taught me the Bible so well that I've become an atheist. That is a paradox. Now let me talk about what I promised to tell you, what the real reason JW congregation elders ask such questions about the most intimate part of somebody's life or moment of somebody's life. And the main reason is that they want to control every aspect of your life. It is about control. It is not about spiritual guidance, but about control. Controlling every aspect of your life. What you think, how you feel, and how you respond to pleasure. For many ex-JWs, speaking about that practice isn't just about exposing religious dogma. It's about calling out an oppressive system that seeks to dominate its members in every possible way. The real question is, how much control are you willing to give over to another person or a system or a religious organization in the name of religion? For those who will finally leave, their answer is no more. Leaving isn't easy, but for those who have been through these interrogations, it can be the first step towards reclaiming their lives. If you or someone you know is struggling with such kind of control that the sect have over them, you need to know that you are not alone. Many have walked this path and have come out on the other side, feeling stronger, freer, and in control of their own lives than ever before. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and if possible, share it with somebody you believe can benefit from this video. For other aspects of Jehovah's Witnesses' beliefs, practices, and doctrine, click on this playlist.